Brandon here, and time for more Brandon's Boy Problems. Today's episode is about my identity crisis. I'm not really feeling like I'm going through an identity crisis, but I recently got my Ancestry done and got the results back, which took like 2 months since I spit in the little tube and sent in the results to find out. And I mostly just did the test because I wanted to find out like what my ethnic makeup was, because people like always have been asking my entire life, what do you mix with? Why are you so light skinned? Why does your nose look like that? Why do you look, you're not black? And it's just like, okay, it's like I always know I'm black, all my family identifies as black, but it's like obviously I am mixed with stuff because, well, honestly most black people in America are mixed with stuff because of slavery and colonialism and white people raping their slaves and whatever, but also like interracial relationships happen. So yeah, I just really wanted to know what I was mixed with, and I found out that my ancestry is 81% African, but I do have 17% European ancestry, which I guess explains my more racially ambiguous features and my complexion. So I was excited to discover that. I also have 1% Southern Filipino, which is really random, which was really interesting to me as well. And I also have 1% indigenous, like Andean, South American, Native American, which was really interesting as well. So it's 81% African, 17% European, 1% Asian, and then 1% Native South American, which is really interesting. It's a really diverse mix, and I was like really excited about that. But then it's like that completely got overshadowed when I discovered like, wait, like it tells you on Ancestry like who you're related to that's ever had their test done before. So it's like it helps you discover like relatives and ancestors or your family trees and whatnot, and it's really helpful if you don't know your family history, because I'm definitely someone that never knew my family history. Whenever I would ask for answers, I never got straight answers. I always got like lies or like random information that like it just didn't make any sense, and I didn't think it was accurate. And I would always ask my grandmother and she would never want to tell me the truth. But it's like my dad's side of the family knows all their family history. Like it's very mapped out, it's detailed, they know it. But my mom's side's been like a complete like mystery to me. And then like when I saw like my relatives, there were 2 people that came up really closest to me. And the first was my aunt, who I already knew was like my half aunt, because she and my mom have the same mom but different dads. So like I knew that I'm related to her because I know her my entire life. That's my mom's eldest sister. So I saw the percentages, like we share like 13% DNA. So I was like, and it says like if you share in like that type of percentile, you are like, it tells you different types of relationships you could possibly be. But since I already knew she's like my half aunt, and that was one of the possibilities, like, and it was like, oh, obviously she's my half aunt. And I thought it was really cool, like they can tell like who's your full aunt, who's your half aunt, who's your full first cousin, who's your half first cousin, etc., etc. Like the stuff that really confused me though was like the first cousin removed, second cousin removed, third cousin removed. Like that I've been trying to like train myself on, because that has been like super confusing to me. But it's like, yeah, I just thought it was like really weird. There's like this other lady there who like I had 10% DNA with, and that is a lot, because like I saw like distant cousins on there where like my grandma and their grandma's half sisters. So like I grew up knowing them because like we had family events, like I'd see them there and I knew like I'm related to them. But like for those like distant cousins, I only had like 2 to like less than 1% shared DNA. So I thought it was like crazy, like who's this random lady and I have 10% DNA with, when it's like people I know that are distant relatives, I only have like 0, 1, 2%. And then like my half aunt, I have 13%. So like 10% is a lot. So I was like, this is crazy. It said she could be anything from like my first cousin to like a great grand aunt or like great grandparent or something, or like a half aunt too. And I was like, this is crazy. So then like I looked at this lady's family tree and I saw like that her father, well, she's like older than me. She was like, I don't know, she's like in her late 40s or early 50s. And then like I saw her father was like the same age as my grandma. So like I asked my grandma if she knew him, and she said she did, but she wouldn't tell me how. But I kind of was like, okay, she obviously knew him as probably like intimately. So I was just like, oh my god, like this is crazy. And then like years ago, my cousin told me that she thought my mom has a different dad, and like that wasn't the same dad as she thought she had. So like I kind of like told my mom about that, and my mom didn't believe it. But like I always knew like my mom's like the shortest one in her entire family, so like it seemed different how like all her like siblings and like how some of my cousins are now like super tall, and I was always jealous like they grew up like really tall, even though some of them are only half cousins as well. But like I was always jealous like my cousins were like over 6 feet or like 6'4" or something, and I'm only like 5'8", and I was like, I can't model because I'm so short. And then it's like, because my mom's short and my dad's like short too. So it's just like, why did my cousins end up super tall, but I'm short? But yeah, now I know why. It's because my mom had a different father, which has been confirmed thanks to Ancestry. And I mean, I'm glad I did my test because it's definitely taught me a lot. Like, I uncovered so many family secrets, and like, I was never getting answers by asking family members. So it's like I had to go do a DNA test, and then it's really uncovered a lot in the past little over a week since I got the results. So it's like been crazy, like how much you can find just because like somebody else out there took their test too that I didn't even know existed. And then it's like to find out, oh wow, this person's like my half aunt, and like they have the same parent as my mom, and now discovering who my mom's real father is, and that man, she thought what their father wasn't. And it's like, boom, like it's crazy. And it's also crazy because it's like I've always heard my mom or like even cousins say it's like it's unfair to us to not know who we're related to, because it's like if you're out dating people, it's like you want to make sure they're not like your distant cousin. And then it's like growing up in like Pennsylvania, or like, yeah, this county in Pennsylvania, that like Chester County, it's like there's barely any black people. It's like the few black people that are, we mostly are somehow related to each other some way, somehow. And I've even seen that like on Ancestry. It's like if I'm related to someone, and then it's like I'll see somebody else, and then it's like they can both share relations to people I'm related to, but like I'm not related to them, or like they can share relations with each other. Or like my half aunts, it's like I've seen random people, like my half aunts aren't related to each other, but I'm related to both of them. But then there's other people that might share DNA with them too, so that's like people in our families are all like intermingled and intermixed. So it's just like crazy that it's like, it's like, this is why you really need to know your ancestry, so you know you don't have like half cousins that you're dating or hooking up with or whatnot, because it's like there are only so many black people in America, period. So it's like in the Northeast, it's like black people are such like a minority, so it's like we all are probably somehow have shared relatives, especially since people had like huge families back in the day, like 10 kids, 9 kids, 12 kids. So it's like everyone's branching out and then dating and marrying people, and then it's like everyone's like so like interlinked somehow. So yeah, it's been definitely crazy discovering my family history, and I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad that I've learned so much about not just my ethnic ancestry, but also like my real like ancestry between my newly discovered grandparents, great grandparents, even my great 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 grandparents. Like I've traced like my father's history, like since other people have already done the research, like I can see who like my ancestors were in like the 1700s. So like that's crazy to me. It's like it's all just crazy. It's like I didn't even know who my grandparent was on my mom's side, but it's like I know who my great 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 grandparents are on my dad's side. So it's definitely been interesting. I definitely love it. I highly recommend getting your ancestry done. I'm glad I chose Ancestry. I know there's like lots of other like DNA tests out there, but I feel like Ancestry is like the best known. And I also just feel like, again, if you aren't doing like the right ancestry test, like you need to use the one that's like the most popular, so then you're gonna know like you're gonna relate to like the most people. So I'm glad I did choose Ancestry, because honestly if I chose something else, I wouldn't have even discovered my half aunt or who my real grandfather was, or like any of my other family history. So yes, I highly recommend Ancestry because it was great for me. It only took 2 months, got the results, learned my ethnic DNA, and I honestly was surprised it did break down Africa, because like I thought I was just gonna say like broadly like West African or some shit, because I feel like I've seen other DNA tests and it was not like broken down, but this really broke it down to like Nigeria, Cameroon, Congo, like Mali, Ivory Coast, Ghana. Like it really does break it down for African history too. So I definitely would recommend Ancestry, and I'm really glad I did it. And I have no regrets. So thank you for joining me for this episode of Branden's Boy Problem.